Yeah, now stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball podcast. Welcome back to this episode. This is the second part of a double header. If you haven't heard the first, go back and listen to it. If you can't be bothered, that's all right. Just keep listening to this one, and hopefully you enjoy it. And don't forget, like and subscribe. I hate it when people say that.
It is that there'll be some games that across loads of teams I played for, it'd just be like, how did this happen? In terms of how did we win this or how did we lose this? It's like just sport, I guess.
I mean, you see a lot of even some of the NBA games where it's 21, 19, 22, 24, through the quarters. It seems pretty stacked. You get a Q4 and it's like one team's gone home.
Yeah.
And the other one have just gone on a rampage.
Yeah.
Well, look at all London's games in the recent games in the Copper Box.
Yeah. They've been down
they
12,
go in
15.
They go in another gear in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
They just signed a new
NBA player, aren't they?
Yeah. G League player.
Oh, really? Oh, I've missed that.
Literally last couple of days, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is just my opinion on it, but I think it would be amazing if
helps when you're in the league, doesn't it?
It's I think it would be great if you had a huge sponsor come in and just took over sponsorship for the league. So it becomes, the reason I'm saying this is just come back from Australia. The NBL over there is their top league. It's the Hungry Jacks NBL. So Hungry Jacks is Burger King. So imagine you had Burger King's BBL.
And historically they have. So they had like the Heineken League, I think they used to call it, long time ago. I think it was nationwide or something like that for a little while as well. So there's been a few like major sponsors of it, and then that disappeared. But obviously they've announced some more sports things recently, with some more media networks, and as well as the other media ones that they picked up for Christmas. So they're doing a lot of promotion out into the States, from what I can see.
Yeah.
Of let's get it viewed over there.
They're getting there, yeah. They are getting there.
And they want to get the money coming in from media, because same with Sky or anyone, that's the money. That's where the football teams get the money.
Yeah.
That's where the NBA teams get the money. It's just the media, they pour in hundreds of millions into these things, and that's where they get the money. That's why all the football players' salaries went crazy. That's why the NBA players got crazy.
But I think if you can get those arenas, that's what's kind of missing. With those arenas, I mean, when you're talking 1,000, it's one side and stuff like that. If you had those arenas of all 7,000, the league's just going to be a lot better. I mean, I was playing you some of the sound bites with 7. I mean, I can do it again for Adam if you want, of what 7,000 people sound like.
Oh, I'm sure he knows.
And so what's that like when you're playing your first game, or not first game, but you're playing, then you're traveling, and then all of a sudden you got Sky Sports cameras on the baseline and stuff like that. That has got to be really
it's a good
cool.
feeling, yeah. You got your family watching, you got your partner's family watching, everybody's watching, and so it was definitely a good feeling.
Did I shave today?
Yeah. Everything. Zoom in right to your face. You're like, oh.
Is that a stupid question? Like, do you get your hair cut like every week? Because if you're playing, you got to get your hair cut every week, right?
So,
because you want to look good, or you're shaving before every game, or.
So funny thing, during lockdown, I taught myself how to cut my hair. So now and during college, I was cutting all the athletes' hair, and it turned into like a money-making thing. And so now, and then I taught my brother how to cut hair, and so now every week I cut my own hair. And so people ask me.
So do I, Adam. I understand.
Yeah, I can sort you out, don't I? But yeah, it used to be a good little side hustle while you was in college. Earn some money, and then people already started liking it. So I was just like, oh, I could carry on doing this. Funnily enough, after lockdown, I went to my hometown barber in Fawcett Road, in Portsmouth, and it was an African barber, and he basically said, do you want to join? So I joined and was cutting people. So after lockdown, and we went from tier 3 to tier 2, people were coming in with like the craziest hairs, because obviously there'd been like months of just like I'm not going to cut my hair. I'm just going to leave it to the barber. So they come in like big afros or whatever. You have to like shave it down like there's some sheep or something. Like it was crazy, but I learned a load of skill there. And then that's when I went out for my senior year, my last year in the States, and started cutting everyone's hair, and people were loving it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I do cut my hair every week. So that's a good way to save money.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, I've got one for you that would be irrelevant for you. Do the stats matter on your stat sheet when you're playing BBL?
Oh, do you care about your stats?
Do you really care about your stats?
Like if it's
Because
right
we were
towards
just saying
the end
about
of
the
the game,
wins and stuff, the team winning versus you getting that bucket.
do you shoot and like from the halfway line, or you think no?
Is that something you're thinking about? Like, my percentages are all right at the moment. I can afford to dish this off, or actually, I want to get another one in.
I never looked at the stats too much.
It's really interesting.
In terms of percentages, I wouldn't. In terms of now, I was shooting quite well, but in terms of how many rebounds or passes or stuff like that would matter to me, because I've been told about getting rebounds a lot more than I had been in multiple leagues. So it was a case of me trying to focus on kind of my weaknesses and work on them. So yeah, what did I do? And it was my first year, and I was the youngest player. I'm not going to come on and score 20. My highest scoring game was 15 against Plymouth, and I had a great game then. I think it was like 15, 8 and 3.
Pat Riots would have been annoyed with that.
Yeah,
Pat Riots.
It was, but apart from that, it was like, you get your minutes here and there, and they might be staggered across the whole game, and you just have to wait till your name's called up and just do what, like I said earlier, what coach has taught you throughout the week, and kind of be trusted and earn the future trust. So in terms of stats, never really looked too deeply into them, especially as we were losing. It wasn't really something that I had to worry about too much, but I was always thinking about, what about next year? Like, what am I going to tell next year? And so it was, it was a yes or no question.
When Paul was in Australia, he got given these stat sheets from the games that he was at.
Okay.
And we always quite like looking at some of the stats.
That's per quarter.
Yeah.
So you're sat courtside and
Yeah.
bam, that's the end of the quarter, and you're like, okay, cool, I can see where he is. And every
They do that
quarter.
here for the younger leagues as well, don't they?
Yeah. But I was quite interested because I thought, one of the things that I've picked up from you speaking, I think I'm sure all the listeners have as well, is you're very conscious about always learning as you're going through in every coach or every situation. You're taking stuff from that, you're learning from that. So I wondered if you were, I know you said you're a very visual learner.
Yeah.
I wondered if stats play a part in that learning process, because some people look at it and say, hey, you're dropping this field goal percentage or this doing, whereas, or you could improve here, or these are the.
I think Adam's answered that already.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like he'd rather win. It doesn't matter. Is that what you?
That's more what I was saying. Like I said, because it was my first year and I wasn't getting enough to make too much of a difference. It was more like, am I doing the right thing here? Am I making the right play? Rather than how many points you score, how many rebounds. But in the recent season I played, it was more the latter. So it was more kind of focusing on stats and did we win, but also, okay, how much did you score? How many times did you dunk, or how many times did you shot a three, or it was like that. So it depends what team you're in, what role you've been given, and what your job is.
So you mentioned recent season, so that's after Scorchers.
Yeah, post Scorchers, I then head out to Saudi Arabia and sign my official first contract there. Second year in the pro. It was a great feeling because I'd never been to that side of the world before. Learned a lot. My dad, obviously being from Tunisia, it's an Arabic speaking country, so I had some kind of familiarity with the culture, and it was a great experience to go and learn, put in all those practices of being a professional on and off the court, and then go and actually being the person that all the young local players go and say, like, how's he look so strong, or like, how does he carry himself like that, or wow. And I used to think, I used to hear those because they never used to know how much I could understand, and I used to think, like, when I was younger, like, I used to think the same thing about under 18 at Kestrel when I was in the men's team, like, how is he so big, or how does he jump so high? And in retrospect, that's me. So that's me now. So always got to try and help out the kind of younger players as well, and teach them how to do stuff and tell them, you got to drink your water, or you got to stretch after practice. Like, don't think you're too young that you're too good for stretching or whatever, because it helps.
Guildford to Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's a very simple transition.
Yeah. Very simple.
So how did that come then? Like, did they scout you?
Essentially, yes and no. So I have a very good friend called Faisal, and he was a coach at the Euro camp in Portsmouth. So every year they do a summer Euro camp. He was my camp coach, and he is like the Sky Sports presenter for out there. So he's super well connected. He'd be, he does interviews with all the top teams, the presidents of clubs and everything. So he was able to help me a lot, put me in front of the best situation for me. And he's kind of my guy for a lot of stuff, my manager, and sets me up for future, what's the plan for, can we get you into the Tunisian national team? Can we get you then into the Olympics? Can we, what's the plan? Not just this season, because we can try and sort stuff out, but what's the longer term plan? So we work together, and obviously with me working out and him having the connections, and it just being also luck of the draw. If it's the right timing, then things fall into place. And I headed out there, and it was a super well trusted environment in the kind of Arabic community, where you don't really, due to religion, you don't really do people dirty. So one person's word is what they would live by.
Oh wow!
So when
your word means something.
Yeah. So when he'd say, "Look, I've got this player, like he's going to do well," like that was what it was, and that's what happened. Like it was no like here's a player, slip him in, or there you go, mate. Like you just got yourself into a pro team. It's not really like that. You have to be, if they think you're good enough, then they'll put you forward, and that's it. And so a lot of players, everyone has an agent as a professional. That's mine. Yeah.
Amazing.
So what was it like when you put pen to paper that first time?
Yeah, it was good.
Cool.
It was good. So because obviously I didn't go out there to sign it. They then sent it over to me, and so I did it at home, and that was it. It was just like, in reality, it's just pen to paper, but the grand scheme of looking back, you think all the years of everything and all the struggle on, cycling to the train station and when it's soaking wet and turning up at 6:30, like that's then worth it. And
you said it earlier, that what people will see is, oh, you're a professional basketball player.
Yeah, that's it.
They don't see the 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, people
they don't see the 11 o'clock.
That's the same with life, though. People don't see all the big things, and on social media, especially social media, like you just see the pictures of me dunking, or you just see whatever, but you don't see the background stuff. So it's
the iceberg. I think of an iceberg.
Yeah,
people see the peak and they don't see hard work. 5 a.m.
Exactly. So everyone's like that, though. Everyone either doesn't realise how much other people put in, or the hard workers realise that the successful people have put in that work somewhere along the line.
You can't see it. There's no way to see it, is there? There's no way, because that's this long.
Yeah.
Whereas they see this snippet, they see that instant, that second, and you go, oh wow. Cool.
So it's something that you and your family and the people that have been on that journey can celebrate with you, because everybody else, just like you said, oh, he's a professional now. Like, you don't think about all the other stuff, and my family and friends have been through that with me. So it's good for us.
Cool.
Yeah,
so what's that? What is the difference like just in the?
I was going to say the same thing, but between BBL and going to Saudi Arabia.
Because again, learning is such, and you being that sponge is so central in your journey, isn't it? Because you had to adapt to that game, then you've adapted when you've gone over to the States, then you adapted again when you went sophomore, then you came back here, then adapted again, BBL. Now you're going over there again. Yeah. You're consistently changing. But are you at this point now forward and in that role?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, all the other kind of teams and transitions for me have made me able to climb the next highest mountain.
Yeah.
So whatever I've learned from before, I'm then taken to be able to get to that next, reach that next ladder. in terms of being in Saudi, it was definitely different because I go from being kind of a role player at Scorchers to then going to Saudi, and I'm like the guy apart, as well as
the franchise.
Yeah, as well as one or two other
Franchise
players on the team, and you learn. Right now, it's not like you pass. Now it's like you touch the ball once and you go score. And I wasn't point guard. I'd bring the ball up a few times, but when I would, everyone would be like, okay, like what are you going to do now? And so it was like all eyes on you. So it's there's a lot of pressure, and hopefully all the development that you've had as a player growing up, you learn to deal with that in the moment. And that's when you see all these professionals with thousands of people watching them. Most of the time they don't feel anything because it's just like every day you practice for this. And so when they give me the ball and I've got to make maybe a game changing decision, it's innate. It's just second nature.
You've been, obviously you have a very considered approach when you to the game, and you're very pensive about how you're approaching things and thinking that through. What does it take someone like a character like yourself then to be able to just say those words, I'm the guy?
Yeah.
Because that's like, LeBron sitting there when he was talking about, I'm the GOAT. It's a huge thing to say. I'm the guy there now.
LeBron was saying it from 15, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Or 14.
Let's not get on that bandwagon. But that, for yourself, I've only ever met you today.
Yeah.
But all the good things we hear from you and the stories you're talking about, and that's maybe not necessarily natural for you to sit there and say, I'm the guy. And that's quite a big thing to say there. In a great way. What a positive thing to be able to say to yourself.
To this day though, I could never take myself seriously if I was to say that to somebody. Now, when people, on the court or other teams, and people try to test you, or like you're testing your character, or like that side of you comes out a little bit, of like okay, well, now I'm gonna have to show you. And that's the same for every high level competitor. But in terms of being the guy, I've never really, I can feel it inside, but if I never show it, that's kind of the most honest way to be for me. I've got to be, you got to be humble. That's it.
I totally respect that. That's but it's really nice hearing someone say that and like taking ownership for like, I have had this journey.
Yeah.
And I'm like here now.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's like the same.
As welcome to me, but like this is, I've had a grind for this.
Yeah.
And that's just nice hearing people being positive about themselves.
Well, it's the exact same as what you said earlier about you messaging me for coming to Portsmouth Force.
Hey, listen, the door's still open.
Yeah. And me politely saying, well, I'm in the BBL this season, but it's not about what level you are. If you carry yourself the same way throughout, then those positive doors will open for you. But also the people that try to reach out to you before, don't think, he's not so nice, or we'll just leave him next time, or
exactly.
He's a typical professional. Like, no, I don't like to be like that.
Well, that story, because you sent me a really nice message back, I've told so many people that, and then those people they'll come back to me. How's that guy getting on? That you try to get for the Portsmouth Force professional. Oh, he's in Saudi Arabia now. He's professional out there. He's doing really well. Talking about competitive edge.
I mean, we can write a contract. We got Alex's one.
We
banked up together.
What a Portsmouth Force contract?
Yeah, how much is going?
We pay in Vietnamese dong.
Vietnamese dong.
Okay.
So we got to give Adam more than Alex. No disrespect to Alex, but he's signed now. So
yeah, I mean,
Adam,
news now that is.
What are we going to do?
I don't know. We have to cook something up.
Yeah, cook something nice up. We'll see.
Hey, we could have one of those exclusives where we get an Adam signed for the Portsmouth Force. Anyway, talking about competitive edge, there's a great picture of Adam, and just talking off the record, Adam said about his coach talk about getting a dunk in a game, and there's a great picture of Adam. Like, do you know Shaq's dunk?
Yeah.
Where he's like hanging, legs up.
Oh, you showed
kicking
me
back. Adam doing that boom on like, I don't know. There's three players, but there's one guy who's kind of pulling a face like. But yeah, that image popped in when you talk about competitiveness.
Nice.
So, I mean, at the moment.
So hang on, the game in Saudi, I just want to finish up on that. So what is the game in Saudi Arabia like?
So
because the English game is of different type of spacing and pacing, even to European,
yeah,
and then American. Again, you were mentioning about being regressive and so forth.
yeah,
Saudi Arabia.
it's more like Europe than it is like American.
Okay.
So you're team orientated more, but the difference is because there's more local players than professional. So you
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you have to learn to play with kind of the younger players that might only be, at uni there or got a job in the building, or and they're good players, but they
So a lot of homegrown talent there.
a lot of homegrown
wicked.
talent. So that's what they're good for. And over there they've got a lot of money to kind of pump stuff in, such as getting professionals and getting into leagues, etc. But in terms of the league, as far as that's concerned, it's very much spotlight on the professional to do the job. So it is like like you said, I am the man. I've got to be the man to survive here. And if you're not, then you just look like a local player.
Franchise players got to perform.
That's
isn't
what you
it?
were saying about the
Pressure on
Americans
that,
coming in.
Yeah.
And so
And if
you're
they
there
just-
now doing the
Yeah,
franchise.
those
play.
Americans at Solent, ever look like me when I was 18 and they fit in just like me, then they're doing something wrong because they're in a contract for this,
Yeah.
And in the grand scheme of life, you turning up and doing your job as an athlete, it isn't the hardest thing compared to what other people have to go through in
Absolutely.
9 to 5 life. So you just got to do your job. That's it.
There was something that Adam said. We've just
yeah.
glazed over this.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to
I'm
bring
going to bring this back up, which was potential talk about Tunisia.
Yeah.
I mean that's as big as it gets.
Yeah, so it'll be it's the next sensible step for me. So we'll see what kind of comes up in the future. But I do have good relationship now with the top people in the Tunisian kind of basketball association. So we'll see what goes on from there. But
you did mention to us before we started that you just happened to play for another national team, just purely by accident in your youth.
yeah, when I was 14, I got called up for the England camp. So
I mean, it's nothing.
nah, it's
Just
not-
England, mate.
Just
Just
nothing
England, Solent Kestrels, time in America, BBL, Surrey, yeah.
fancy. It's great.
humble.
Yeah. I mean, there's humble and there's
Yeah.
like literally leaving stuff off your resume.
Yeah, no, it's fine. To me, it's just like I wouldn't bring it up in conversation unless someone asked. So it's like
I would be wearing the kit down the street.
yeah, I've still got the kit, but I'm just like, no, just
Be filling petrol up like, hey, just GB, just saying.
in the grand scheme of things, no one, apart from you guys, no one really cares about what people go through and stuff. It's just like that happened. Okay, cool. You were 14. That was 10 years ago.
So that is really cool.
Adam is sat next to someone on the plane and they're like, "You're really tall. You should play basketball." And he's like, "Yeah, I could do."
Yeah, that happened a few times. Funny enough, on the way to America because it's such a long flight. And you're like, "Oh, so what you doing here?" And I'm just heading back to uni, and they're like, "Oh, you don't sound American." And I was like, "No, I'm on a scholarship, etc." And they're like, "Oh my god, that's so cool. My son wanted to do this." So it's definitely cool, and I can speak to people just like normal people, but also take interest in what they're doing as well. It's not just I don't like to sit here and say about me. What are you doing as well? What is your son doing these days? So it's like a two-way thing for me. Kind of like to steer it off me and say, yeah, I've done this, isn't it? What about you?
Well, look, we got to ask the question: is England or Tunisia?
Yeah.
Which would you prefer to play?
That ties in nicely with something Adam asked before.
And you don't have to answer the question
about
if you don't want to.
what the FIBA ranking is for England and what the FIBA ranking is for Tunisia.
Didn't we say England was like 57th or something? 67th?
Well,
103?
it was like
76.
It was 48th. Now it's gone even lower. No, with 53 now.
53. There you go.
So where do you think Tunisia is?
Ooh.
Does this impact?
I'm going to say they'll be above England. I'm going to say 43.
I'm gonna say this is tough. Could be completely wrong here. It'd be quite embarrassing. I'd probably say like 40.
Actually, no, I've got a vague recollection. You told me they were, I think they're top 30. Because you read the list out once on the podcast.
I did. But
And
but obviously the list has changed because obviously this is an active
It's all
list.
adapting. It's all adapting.
I vaguely remember you saying the name Tunisia.
Oh.
I might even say top 20.
But you've already given us.
Yeah,
you've already given us.
he just keeps going. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to
He's
say
trying to get
43.
or
closer
5
and
or
closer.
6.
All right, I'm going to go
You said 43 already.
23.
Okay.
Is that right?
Are you sticking?
Yeah, I'll stick. I have to stay the same.
36.
So I was closest. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I said I should have stuck with 43.
No, I said 40.
You said 40, so you'd still be close. It doesn't matter. That's some fantastic maths from Mr.
and where's GB at? 53, you said.
53. Yeah.
53. So
what?
Is that a
technically, it's just saying.
the answer to your original
they need you-
question.
Some would argue they need your help more.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
it's true.
Is that a question you want to answer?
I'll answer it. Yeah, I'd rather pay for Tunisia.
Wow.
What do you think? What do you think if this goes ahead and you go into the Tunisian team?
Yeah,
What do you think your family think of that?
that's the point. Is the
That-
reason it's so easy for me to choose is because half of my family live here and have always seen and been around all my accomplishments.
Yeah.
The other half of my family I never see. They're all in Africa, so
Yeah.
it would be nice to go over there and do
That
something
would be-
different, elevate myself to a different level, and also have in Tunisia have my uncles that used to play professional, have my dad come out and visit me, and the national leagues and international games and stuff like that. It would be good, and I'd be excited to do stuff like that.
What is basketball like in Tunisia? Have you played? Have you been over?
Yeah, I played there when I was younger, and so
Is it established big sport over there, or
it's one of the biggest sports. So over there in Arabic countries, it tends to be football, always number one.
yeah?
Second, it tends to be like handball, and then after that we kind of head on towards like kind of basketball and stuff like that. But it's pretty physical over there. I'll say that. But there's definitely opportunity for me to go over there, and I've been approached to go over there. Just need to.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'm just waiting for the time to be right, and then we'll head over.
Do you think you'd have to adapt your game?
Yeah, just
But that's what
just
he's
like every
done this
level.
Yeah, that's what I'm just thinking.
100%. Yeah,
No.
and
It already sounds
I'll
like
be
he
fine with
knows
that.
what. Yeah,
Yeah.
he already like. I know what I need to do.
but I'd have to go there originally showing what I am
Yeah.
first, and I know that they're top level recruiters there, obviously, because it's international level. They would be able to see, okay, what's he good at, and tick the boxes for me, and then try and change things to fit the international team. So it would be something very honourable to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, to play for both countries.
That'd be what an amazing thing to be able to do for
Yeah.
you personally,
Yeah.
as well as the family, and what a
Yeah, it'd be good for all my cousins and stuff to come see. I would like that. So we'll see. We'll see.
what colour's the kit?
Red and
Red.
white.
Yeah, it's red and white classic.
Red and
Looks
white.
like quite nice. I'm smiling here. Do you know why? Because I'm just thinking, Zach, no pressure. No pressure.
Yeah, I know you'll be listening thinking,
Oh, I forgot he did that. Damn it! I've got to do that as well.
Yeah, BBL. Yeah, and then Tunisia International. Let's see.
yeah, what's next?
So, would you play in Tunisia for local teams in Tunisia,
there's also opportunity for that as well. So that could be my
or
next
stay in Saudi?
sensible step. Yeah, it's for me now. It's what's the best business decision for me, as well as personal development. Like, obviously, at the end of the day, everybody's got to buy a house, or everybody's got to do this and that.
Yeah.
So what's the best thing for me to do business wise?
Well, we said before about
Wow.
Dubai,
And he came
doing-
on the Talking Basketball
Yeah.
podcast, Mark.
to let us know. That's the way you
You're
do
the,
it.
you're the first
What-
to hear it.
What
Well,
business decision do I need to
I
make?
think-
Talking Basketball
I
podcast.
think he'd be a perfect person to go for Dubai
Yeah,
for their team that are going in EuroLeague
yeah, that would be good.
next year. I think they want to
There
do it.
was the one thing that they have over there. They're more accepting for Arabic passports than they are kind
really?
of American. So if you're a top Arabic player, you're more likely to get that contract rather than
Yeah, and you've got
Americans.
proven
yeah.
playing over
Unless
there.
you're like G League or like NBA standard,
Yeah.
which they do have, but you can get yourself into some doors, and that's just by luck. But with the hard work and with the timing and the luck of stuff, it's all managed. It's all doable. It's all possible.
Are the seasons flowing the same as most from October to May? Sort of. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like September because they have like Ramadan over there in like February. So it's a bit different. They have we had like season breaks over there where I'd go out for a month in September, and then like we've got like 6 weeks off. So I'd fly home.
Oh.
And so then I'd go back out and we'd start, practicing again, and it was all because it's a Muslim country. It's all shaped by that. So whatever it is it Ramadan? Is it Eid? There's all different.
So during something like Ramadan, the season will stop.
The season will be put to a halt. Yeah. And so like even in Christmas, I didn't go this Christmas is the first Christmas I've had in England for 2 years because last year I was in Saudi. They don't celebrate it, so the season's just rolling. The year before I had COVID, had to isolate, so I wasn't able actually to go see my family. I had to stay with my partner. So yeah, it was definitely interesting, but easily adaptive for me, and it was fine. Luckily, from years of moving away from family and years of having to just get up and say goodbye, and getting used to kind of being independent, because a lot of it is you have to learn to be independent. You have to learn to like your own company, because whether you're in college as an athlete, whether you're a professional going overseas, it is lonely. Like there's no two ways about it. You can make the best friends ever and survive that way, but at the end of the day, you're going back to your room and it's just you. And there's FaceTime now, which obviously never used to be around, but things like that can only make so much of a difference. So there's a certain level where you've got to really be, on your grind and just kind of stay in your own lane. That's every pro player knows about, staying in your own lane.
Stay in your own lane.
That's it.
Just talking briefly about that was, like the Ramadan and stuff like that. When you have players in the UK, and you can't drink or you can't have food, and they're still playing elite basketball. The one I remember was Gaif Dersey. And it was a cup final. I mean, it was only local league, but he was playing full-on game, cup final against, at the time, it was a National League standard team playing against another National League standard team. And something simple as drinking water, you can't do. And it was like, I just had so much respect for him, because it was like, you have that belief, and, you're suffering, I guess, for what you're doing. And
if you're operating running a ball around,
and all credit, because I was like, wow, that is just an achievement in itself to be playing basketball and be going through that.
Yeah, definitely.
I've done it before, fasting and being in Tunisia. I did it, and then playing basketball like 2 hours before kind of you eat, in the 40-degree weather, and it's crazy.
So weather, I was going to ask, because I said it to him once before, and he was like, "Well, they have air conditioning and everything," but actually,
well, this is Australia in the NBL, so that top 10 teams.
But we're talking in Saudi. Saudi do have liquidity and money in certain places, but it necessarily depends on if they're putting the money in things like that for stadiums.
And they're getting there, because the prince over there, he loves basketball, so he's put a lot of money into it, which is probably where a lot of stuff is coming from in terms of influencing Dubai to enter EuroLeague, etc. But in terms of the sports course, you're exactly right. Some of them didn't have air conditioning, so I'm at a professional level, and there'd be some of them where like the floor's slippy, and so like I've got to be careful, because I'm the one person that they need, and I've also got to compete at the highest level, and while watching an injury. So it was like, okay, like what is this? And every court go into trying to be kind of adaptive and learn, okay, the hoops are different here or whatever. Like it's almost
So what is I don't know much about the basketball in Saudi, so how many games you play in a week, how many teams are in the league, etc.
So two games a week normally.
Oh, right.
And there was about 12 teams in the league, so not too dissimilar to kind of the leagues we
I
have
guess
here.
the standard, isn't it?
And a lot of travel, or
Yeah, a lot of travel because Saudi's so big. It'd be
yeah,
a
I
lot
was thinking
lot
it's
of
a big
flying.
old place.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're flying.
Oh yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
So in the BBL, I'm guessing you're driving.
We took our coach BBL for the most part. The only one we didn't was Glasgow.
Yeah,
That's when it was before it became Caledonia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and no one want to be driving up that far.
Yeah, and we actually got up there, and then somebody tested positive
Oh no.
COVID. I think it was either that or Newcastle, but one of the two. We drove all the way up there,
And then what happens? As you said, that's it. Game's off.
yeah, we got to the hotel, and then it was actually one person on our team.
Shame him.
It was Martel Macklemore. Yeah, it was him. He caught COVID. He was like on the bus.
Wow.
Like, I'm not feeling good. Anyway, next thing you know, you had to test positive. He was sharing a room with somebody, and everyone was like, I knew it. So a few of us, they said they'd get us train tickets if we wanted, or we can get on the same bus that he's getting on back there. And we were like, a few of us were like, nah,
Absolutely
let's just
not.
get on this train. Anyway, we ended up, we were kind of racing the bus to see who would get there first, and we got there
But
first.
game's just called off.
Yeah, game's called off. That was it.
No.
And they had to reschedule it, so we had to go back up there again. But yeah, it was fun vibes.
Oh,
vibes.
no.
If you're that person, he was just sitting there thinking now, like,
Yeah.
I was the contagion.
Yeah, he was like,
I brought it on.
I'm sick as a dog, and we were like, oh god. And he's just so honest as well. So it was hilarious, but not hilarious when he tested positive and they said, right, call it off.
Not after that journey, no.
Nah.
You'd be like, whoa, I want to play basketball. What's
Yeah.
going on?
Oh, no.
So talking about journeys, when you I'm not just saying BBL, but I know a lot of the the ex-players we've had on the show have always said they love the away trips with the camaraderie and the joking about on the thing. Would you follow with what they're saying about the away games and all the laughter that goes with it?
In Saudi.
Just generally, BBL or Saudi?
Yeah. So it's that kind of stuff is your time to kind of bond with people and build those relationships, because the ones off the court help you on the court. Ultimately, whatever people say, that is true. So yeah, there was a lot of jokes, and then you see the people that take it a bit more seriously when it comes to like, okay, there's 30 minutes till we get to the arena. Like now it's like I'm just like headphones on. There's nothing. You won't speak to them until they're done getting changed and coach comes in for the team talk, and you won't speak to them before that. So there are some people that like don't mind laughing the whole time. There are some people whatever. So me, I was like a mixture of both. I never really had one thing that I went off of, because my thing was always just be me and not really have to force myself into kind of doing certain stuff, because I could equally have, looking back, I've equally had as good games, laughing with people before the game as I have had putting my headphones on and listen to Kanye West or whatever and just going crazy that way. So either end, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, some people you do have to learn to don't go near him when there's 30 minutes left, or even on warm-ups, coach they'll take their headphones off when coach is talking in the locker room once we're changed, and then they'll put their headphones back on and they'll be out warming up until we've got to do like a team warm-up, and that's it. Like that's just how they get ready. So that's part of them being professional.
I bet you got characters who are like, they got headphones on, I'm gonna
Yeah. There's always characters like that in every, you see it in the NBA.
Hello.
And, yeah, exactly. So yeah.
You know what? You were talking about like the hot arenas and stuff like that, and I won't say his name, but with the FIBA GB Masters stuff that happened, there was a tournament in was it Malaga they went to?
Yes.
Last year, Malaga. And one of the over 35s, it was so hot, no air conditioning in this thing, and he hadn't drunk any water. And then all of a sudden, bam, passes out in the thing, and he's, they think, bloody hell, he's really, really poorly. And one of the players actually turned around and said, they're very good friends, and he said, this guy's never listened to me in my entire life. So people were trying to find out if this guy's okay, and the guy who's like, this guy never listens to me, he starts shouting, "Follow the light, follow the light." Because he's like, if he's never listened to me, he's not going to follow the light.
Yeah.
So, that must have been a good little picture. Some guy getting water poured on him, and some guy screaming in the background saying, "Follow the light."
Yeah, everyone else is like a trip of them dunking or doing some amazing pass. Like, how was your trip? And he's like there on the floor, like, yeah, that was my trip.
He's a good player as well, that guy.
So what's next? What's next for you?
Straight into the deep end.
I guess the world's your oyster now, really, isn't it? Like, I don't want to throw something and say, would you prefer to play in the BBL or Tunisia? Or I guess you're just gonna see where you end up.
I'm a very firm believer of what will be, and everything happens for a reason. So as long as I put myself in a position that I can have those doors open for me, I know it will just come. And no matter what an opportunity, might let me down or whatever, I know there'll be another one there if I've put myself in the right position for that to happen. So in answer to your question, BBL or Tunisia or wherever, Saudi or whatever, for me I don't really fixate on what specific one I'd want to go to, but my job is to provide the options for myself and to speak to everyone and to see what is the best. Because if BBL turn around and say, we need some more homegrown talent, we want somebody that we can pay less than American but still well enough for you, I'll stay here. I'm not opposed to going or staying, but in terms of if they ask me to go away and to play abroad anywhere I would go anywhere. And that's
keeping your options open.
Yeah, I don't mind.
We'll get that Portsmouth Force contract set up.
Yeah. If that one's there first.
He said anywhere. I'm just saying.
And we're gonna pay, and you can have a free.
Throw a camel in there or something as well. That'll be all right.
For Tunisia, yeah. I mean, I don't know what the currency is in Tunisia, but we can work with some of that. Dinas. Well,
Dinas.
we do have Vietnamese dong. We've got a good line on Vietnamese dong. So
I think we were going to pay Alex like £12 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
but it sounded good. It was like 14 million. It was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you didn't look at the exchange rate too much.
No,
I think we'll be able to slide that past you. But like camels, that's interesting. You didn't say if it had to be a real camel or a toy one or a little model of one.
Looking down at the.
Yeah, no, there's a meerkat. Yeah. You touch my daughter's meerkat, she'll have you.
Talking of camels, I almost sold my wife for a camel once. I was in Egypt. I don't know if you want to know this story or not, but I was in Egypt and we were looking at this camel, and I said to this guy, I went,
if she listens to this now,
I went, that's a really good looking camel. And I said, do you want to swap? And he was like, yes. And he held his hand out. Yeah. And there was someone behind me went, do not shake his hand or he will.
That's it.
They will live it out. They'll make sure that exchange happens.
And my wife actually came up to me and went, what? And smacked me around the head like a real.
I don't blame her.
And
they don't mess about with camels, man.
Was that one camel?
And he looked at me like, come on, we got a deal. Come on. And I said to him, I said, I'll never get it on the plane. But other than that, I was up for it. Right, Mark, you got your questions.
Fees.
You got your questions. Come on.
I always have my questions.
Hit me.
Obviously, you're an avid listener of the show, so you know the drill. The first question, which I mean, is it even worth us ever asking it? You got that one ball that's getting inbound. Who's the player who's taking that golden shot? It's the buzzer beater, clutch shot. Any player from history in basketball, who's it going to be?
I love these. You know what? Can I change this question?
You can tweak it because it always needs.
Can I change it?
Go on. Yeah.
A pro.
Yeah.
You can give two answers.
Okay.
Your dream answer, so whoever you want, or someone you've played with, and as the second one.
Oh yeah, fellow teammate.
So from whatever team throughout everyone you've played for, you can give the ball to one guy to take that last shot, as well as your NBA player or whoever that is.
So let's start with the NBA player.
Yeah.
I'd probably go with Kevin Durant. He's my goat.
He's your goat.
He's not my goat, but he's like the player I grew up trying to be like. So
Durant.
Yeah, and he's a clutch player. He's clutch.
Easy money.
Is that the
sniper.
first time Durant's come up?
First time.
His name's
Durant's
now
come
on the
up.
list.
Hey, he's ex-Seattle. I'm
I
happy
think we
with
got
that.
3
I
now.
haven't looked at the statistics before answering that question,
I'm
but
comfy with that.
I'm just going with that.
It's like I don't even finish the sentence, and
Yeah.
most people say MJ. It's
Yeah.
like that.
We've had
Yeah.
MJ, we've had Jerry West,
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people
Allen Iverson.
always associate it with MJ's shot where he hits it, that takes that inbound
Yeah.
and hits it on the fade, and then
Yeah. See, like Allen Iverson, like these days it would be tough to, you know, it would only be like, unless it was like 1-on-1 and there was nobody else to kind of help. You know how big and stuff the point guards are these days. It's
I mean, the same thing that you could say nowadays. You could say Shaq or Joel Embiid, really.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to inbound to them, and they're going to get
Yeah.
a 2-point. They're in the paint. It's like, hey,
you
no
could say
one,
Jokic,
no one's
or you could
stopping
say
them. Yeah.
anyone. To be honest, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the
So-
standard is definitely for shooting is gone through the roof.
Yeah.
But it's that clutch shot, and you have those people like the Reggie Millers and who, you know, you give them that ball.
Yeah.
And I think Luka's doing a good job with those clutch shots as well. And they're hitting them where some other players, they're consistent, but I wouldn't call them clutch.
Well,
So what about players-
Durant's number 4, the 4th person on that list now.
Amazing. So who
Nice.
that you'd have played with then? You can ask yourself.
Yeah, you guys know I'm not going to say that. I'd be.
We've
yeah,
had one.
Yeah.
We've had one who did it.
Yeah, you did turn it into a free throw though. So he was like, and I think you said if this was in the early days, and you went if your life was on the line.
It was
he
like
well,
life
I'll
or death.
take
I
it.
said, you know, that bench, well, I'm taking it because no one else is taking my. And I was like, yeah, okay, you took it.
Yeah, no
literally,
one
but
else is taking my life, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it might have been that, but yeah.
I like to think Andy was just supremely confident.
If it was a free throw, yeah, I'd say me 100%. If it was kind of a game-winning shot,
Yep.
If it was like Saudi League, I'd say probably me. But if it was a different league where we're sharing the ball a lot more, I'm gonna revert to my Surrey Scorcher teammate Andrew Lawrence.
Okay.
Andrew Lawrence.
Yeah, I would give it to him. Andrew's a top G, and seeing him hit a game winner would be good. I'd like that.
Amazing.
He's not underrated because everyone knows what he's about. But in terms of the BBL, I know that he wanted to venture out a little bit more in terms of playing overseas a little bit more. But due to injury, he had to kind of stay a bit more local. And now he's doing really well in the BBL and helping. He's one of the main reasons as to why Scorchers are doing well. So for that, it will be good because he's kind of like an introvert. He doesn't really speak too much unless you put him to the side and have a conversation with him. So
Nice.
seeing that fire after a game winner from him would be quite rare to see, which is why I chose Andrew Lawrence.
You know what? That's a great answer. That is a great answer.
I think this question's just evolved.
Yeah, it has. So,
Actually,
The
can I
second
ask
question.
one? Sorry, can I just touching on something you just said there? As far as players who are playing in the BBL, it's quite easy for them to walk out and just go to Europe. If you know what I mean.
we've seen a lot of it
throughout
quite
this-
recently, haven't we? A
throughout
lot of
this
people jumping
season.
off.
You have
Yeah.
teams and they
contracts
go, Spain have just come. Right, I'm going to go and play in Spain.
Yeah.
Or
Caledonia just lost Buttrick to Portugal. Yeah.
And what do you think about that?
Or people leaving.
Yeah, and
It just seems very fluid. I know that obviously NBA right now has got a trade window to the February the 8th from the NBA. But it just seems a little bit more, someone's just we got a new player this week. And you go, okay.
I know what you mean.
And they're around for 3 or 4 games and then they're off and they're using it almost like a jump pad to get into Europe.
Sometimes it is like that. Sometimes it's due to certain stuff. So there was a load of people that came to Scorchers. So the people that we had kind of the summer runs with in Scorchers, most of them weren't the people that we played with during the season. In fact, kind of eight people or so had left by the time the season had started. And throughout the season, people had sustained injury and left and brought new people in. And by the time it was the middle to the end of the season, we had total different amount of players and different people. So some reasons are for injuries in terms of kind of the hop in to get yourself to the next level. It's kind of the business. I feel like if you were to tell somebody there's a good opportunity here for you, but then in 3 weeks there's a great opportunity for you, but you don't know that great opportunity is coming until you get to the second one. It's kind of like you just got to do what you got to do.
Taking the option as there.
Yeah, it's a business choice, to be honest. But you never know. That contract difference could be like 5-10K for somebody that's an American, or for somebody that's UK. That could be huge for them.
But you also mentioned like people at injuries, someone like Grant Hill, famously in Orlando, was like 4 or 5 years just running the contract. And we see it in the NBA, whereas you've seen a lot of players they've got an injury, something works out in the team very quickly, and that's it, you're gone.
Yeah.
And they move it on.
It's normal.
And it's quite normal, isn't it?
It's weird.
You have that in the BBL, do you? Where someone's, I'm going to ride this for 3 years, do you?
It's like, no, that's the end of that. Whereas I think it's interesting, and I think that's maybe a good way, but it just makes it quite difficult from when we've picked up and watching it. You go, well, where's that player gone?
Yeah.
Oh, who's that?
Yeah.
Or Teddy's just appeared and suddenly into Leicester.
Everything happens quickly.
It's super fast, isn't it?
Yeah. It's how it rolls, because it all stems from how much we value homegrown talent here, and how much clubs are pumping into overseas players to carry their team to win games, or is it that we're developing kind of from grassroots up to build strong stems for people to get to the next level, like we talked about earlier in terms of Portsmouth, and then having to make a jump to Kestrels, and then having to make a jump to somewhere else, and then having to make... It's like in England, the culture really as a professional is, unless you're really A-class as a player and you can stay here, you really have to go and make your name elsewhere and come back, and then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, like, this is Adam Riabi, he's played this amount of years, blah blah blah, but 3 years ago you weren't messing with me like that. So it's like it's a thing of you've got to try and build your name up, because there's not the kind of the facilities to build people up on those levels at the moment. It's getting a lot better, and we're seeing a lot of people now, a lot of the homegrown talent is in the UK and then is in playing in the BBL, but how well can we keep those people instead of sending them off to college or in America or whatever. But in the women's, I've noticed it. There's been some players that have gone itching in Kestrels and then stayed here in the BBL and now playing pro. Faye Eden, Portsmouth
went
player.
to London, didn't she?
Yeah. So there's some stuff like that where you think, okay, well, how is that working for that player? But then for the men's, it might be totally different.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot harder for me to come from America at college to being a UK player and then like just transition to just being a pro in England.
Oh, really?
It would depend on the club. It would depend on how many spots were available. But if it was between you and an American, obviously you just get an American. So then I've got to then go out somewhere else, build my name up, build my development, and then come back and they'll be like, okay, yeah, he's probably better than this guy now.
And with no disrespect, cheaper than the American who's going to.
It's business. It's business. So you can't, if people turn around to me and said certain stuff, I'd have to understand, it's not personal, and that's a lot of what comes with being a professional. And like you guys know in jobs, it's the same way. If they turn around to you and said anything, no one's safe. Everybody is replaceable. So it's about what you do when your time is there. So,
well, that's a nice segue. You say no one is replaceable, but my second question is
everyone's replaceable.
Oh, sorry, everyone's replaceable.
Yeah.
My second question is, you have to pick a 5 and pine. So you got five players, and one on the bench.
Okay.
All-time favourite.
All-time favourite.
All right, here we go. All-time favourites. I'd probably go.
Oh, look, no hesitation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone's been listening to the show.
In no position order. Okay, so it's MJ, LeBron, Kobe. I'm going Shaq.
This is close to mine.
Shaq. KD. And
who's on the bench?
The bench, it might have to be. Well, this is a tough one. I'll put AI on the bench.
That's probably one of the most devastating combos we've had.
Yeah.
That's a pretty physical team as well.
It is. It is.
Do you describe yourself as a physical player?
I can be, yeah. People say I don't use my physicality as much as I should. I'm quite a strong player for my position, but yeah, I have worked on that in past years, and yeah, now I am. So in Saudi, they would test me a lot, for example, and I'd have to show them. But then in leagues before that, it'd be kind of alright to get away with what I'm doing. So yeah, it depends.
I just think it's interesting because you got all of those players, and out of all of those, the ones who I'd say are not physically dominant.
AI.
I would say he probably was actually because of his speed.
Oh yeah.
You know, and he had that. Which
I thought you meant like aggression in terms of like body contact.
I was going Durant because
yeah,
because he physically is big,
yeah,
but tall, but people can lean on him quite. You know, if you look at, I mean, Kobe had the athleticism, MJ had the athleticism and the strength. LeBron obviously got the strength. Shaq obviously. Iverson's got the speed, but Durant is, and like you say, I find it's interesting because you say that's your guy.
Yeah, it's
very interesting.
Throw a different one out there for you guys.
So, do you think they play well together?
I didn't say nothing about chemistry, but but they'd find a way, I'm sure.
Were you going to add another name to this list then?
No, I don't think so.
You're not going to put yourself in, no? You're going to sub yourself in.
Yeah, sub myself in. No, there's a lot of people I'd choose before that. Okay, so in reverse, what's your lists?
Oh, I need way more time than this.
You've had all these podcasts. What do you mean?
No. We're gentlemen and we let everyone else go first.
Oh, this is only for the guests, is it?
Yeah, we let everyone go first. Every time I pick mine, it ends up being like 15 people. And then someone comes on and will say, what about this? And you go,
yeah,
great.
That's good.
The only thing I have is that Jordan is on the bench.
Okay.
Because he'd be so angry and be so aggressive. If when you finally went, all right, you're on, he would take over the game and it would just be, he'd be furious.
Yeah.
And I think he would hate you for the rest of your eternity for putting him on the bench. But if he walked in, you're like, oh, Mike, you're on the bench. He'd be like, no, I'm not. Yeah, you're on the bench.
Yeah. He wouldn't take it lightly.
He would just be staring at you the whole time. Like, if you coming in, he'd be like, oh, I'm coming in now. That's a 60-point game happening.
I have got a team for you.
Oh, he's written them down. Look, you see that little list.
It's something it's something I've been thinking about for a long time.
Go on, let's have it.
And it's because you said physicality. And this is a team I've been thinking about for a while that would mentally destroy you and break you physically.
Oh,
the suspense is killing me, please.
Number 1, Isaiah Thomas.
Cool. Okay.
Number 2, Draymond Green.
When you're saying breaking physically, okay. Right, you've gone down that road. Okay.
Number 3, Bill Laimbeer.
Yeah, I literally can pick these.
Number 4, Metta World Peace.
World Peace.
And number 5,
Got to go on that. You got to go Rodman if you're being like that.
Well, Rodman, or who's the guy who played for Detroit as well? I think he was number 4. Huge guy. Do you know the Malice in the Palace? He was the real who actually did the first push. Who was that? Wallace.
Wasn't it Ben Wallace? Big Ben.
Ben Wallace.
Yeah.
I'd debate putting Ben Wallace in there and Rodman as number 6.
Yeah, Big Ben's.
That is a
Might as well put rugby players in there now.
They had Ben, I think was it Ben Wallace who did that rejection on Shaq? Was it that one he did? And it was just like,
I've been thinking about that for a while because everyone's talking about, and I thought if you take chemistry, a team we're gonna turn up and have a fight. That was my team I came up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've also got like if you're going to put in Ben Wallace, you've got Rick Mahorn or something like that in that sort of caliber, where they were out to just destroy people.
I didn't want to just put the bad boys in, which is kind of when we had Rodman in originally. It was like, hang on, I've got 3 of the bad boys here. Like, you know, like I wanted players who potentially could just on the court.
Well, when you brought that list up, but when you were saying earlier, Adam, about I'm seeing where coaches looking at me and saying, where do I fit in? I was thinking about the other day how Rodman is probably one of the best examples of a role player, arguably, that has ever been. Because he had games where it was literally he had no points.
Oh, I agree. The 20 rebounds or those kind of games. I
And
remember those games.
Like 20,
Like
25
26
rebounds.
rebound, 24 rebounds,
0
23,
points.
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, go in there, get the ball, and then you just give it out. That's all you got to do. Just get to the ball and stop people. And his defensive, like, I mean, he's he's like 6'10". He's huge. But that's why I love him so much. But I actually thought one of the other players was John Stockton, that a load of people never talk about. Because if you go for a point guard, he can hit the shot. He's got the most steals in history.
Most assists.
Most assists in history.
Yeah.
Pound for pound, his stats are better than even Jordan's, I think. Like for shooting percentages and all that sort of stuff. It's ridiculous. And you go, he's obviously not the GOAT. But at the same time, what was his role? Point guard. That was specifically his role. And you go,
Yeah.
I don't think he ever missed a game in his professional career. He played for 15 years. Like, you couldn't, that's it.
He's not tall either. And the only reason I'm saying
He's like 6.
the only reason I'm
6'2",
saying that
right?
is because I remember, don't know what this popped in my head. There's a video of the Dream Team on the bus, and they're stuck in traffic. John goes to the front, says, "Open the door," and walks off. And he literally just walks down the street. No one even looks at him. And I think it might have been Jordan or someone. I think it was Jordan just turned around and just like, "I wish I could do that." And he's like, "We can't do that." Like,
Yeah.
but John Stockton just walks through. No one's even looking at him.
Yeah, it is strange, isn't it? But there's not many players who have that ability to just, do all the learning like you have and take that progression and say, I've learned from here, then I learned from here, then I learned from here. And in the same way, you've said before about Rodman, where he was counting the spins. And this is where, when he shoots, he always does it. If it's 2 spins, it goes that way. If it's that, it goes that way. Like, he was just learning his.
He was saying
That's
that
my role, and I absolutely know it.
someone, I think they were challenging him. He was just sat on the court, and someone went like, "What are you doing, man? Warm up." And he was like, "I am warming up. Like, I'm doing this." And they were like, "Oh right, you're actually working out when, say, Larry gets the ball, it goes that way." And
And he does 2 steps, and he does a little thing that actually puts more spin on it, which does. I mean,
yeah, taking it to another.
we're just looking at him thinking,
he's
what's he
doing
doing?
what Adam was saying. He's just that sponge of,
Yeah.
I'm going to learn from everything around me, even whilst I'm off the court. Right, Adam, do you want to take our shot?
You've got to take our shot.
I got to. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first shot hasn't had a name claimed. So if you hit the first one, it becomes the Adam Riabi shot.
Just go up and do it now. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No pressure.
no pressure.
First professional on the podcast. No pressure.
Look, I'll say, out of everyone, I mean, we've had quite a few guests now, and I think only 2 baskets have been made. So there is 0 pressure on this shot. So for the people listening, this is at a side angle. No, Steve Ware hit the 3rd, and Mark Jackson got the 2nd. Oh, hang on. What ball are you using? Yeah. They're the balls. Hang on. Did anyone have a few warm-ups?
You had some warm-ups.
I did, but did anyone on the show have a few warm-ups? All right. Oh. Did that go in?
No.
In and out. Last one. This is the Stevie Ware shot. Hey, they all hit the ring. Most shots are air balls. Not on a child's basketball ring.
Yeah, scored on the world's most famous ring.
If it's a dunk contest, it'll be all right.
Actually, my daughter sent a video to him, and it was like, I got her to just throw the ball randomly from there. And then I videoed her just standing next to it, throwing the ball in. And she was like, that's how it's done.
Showing daddy up.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Well,
Thank
Adam,
you so much for coming in.
thank
No, I
you.
really appreciate it.
Well, listen, if you
it's actually my first podcast as well.
Is it really?
So yeah.
Well, you sound like a natural man.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate it. And again, like I said, when we at the start of the year, we wrote a list of things that we wanted to achieve as a podcast, and as far as guests, you're in our top 3 of who we wanted on the show. And we've also got another top 3 person coming on the show soon, though I haven't arranged a date, and I'm really hesitant to say
Michael
something
Jordan,
to
is
it.
it?
It's J-Lo!
It is a, I don't want to say the name,
Nah,
just in
don't.
case.
Yeah, no, don't.
Let's
But
not
it's,
jinx it. It's yeah,
Huge name,
very cool.
huge name. Former BBL player.
Okay.
Yeah.
Former.
Former BBL player from the 80s,
So all the people that
90s.
are listening, try and figure it out.
Oh yeah.
Won't be hard.
No.
Won't be hard. Anyway,
No, it won't,
right.
but he'll be nervous. That'd be the good thing.
You know what? The email popped in, and
He was on the phone to me he was like, "Oh, I got an email," and then he was reading it to me. He's like, "I'm just nervous."
I was like, "Oh my god! I just got an email from him." Like, whoa! Look at the name. Look at that. Anyway, right. Well, Adam, a huge thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, that was absolutely magic. And if
Appreciate
you want to
you
listen
guys.
to more shows like Adam and other guests, please go back and have a listen to our catalog. We got about 57, 58. I don't know when this is going out, so we got a lot. You can go and listen to them.
Plenty to listen to. Plenty to listen
Absolutely. And Adam, we wish you best in whatever you're doing next, whichever team you play for. But thank you for coming on. Paul, what have you got to say for yourself today?
Hello.
Lovely. Any badminton?
No, that's not. I
We're
can't
not
be
going
bothered
there.
talking about it. It's not sport. Can't
It's
be bothered
not.
to talk about
Is
it.
there any badminton out where you played?
to. No.
Correct. That's the right answer.
That's the right
Adam, you've been
answer.
fantastic. Tune in next week. Thank you, everyone.